You're listening to the Rense Radio Network, nationwide and worldwide on the net and at rense.com.
And I feel fine. I do feel fine tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this very special Friday edition of Charlie McGrath's Wide Awake News. It is that infamous, that long-dreaded and yet long-awaited magical date, December 21st, 2012, and I, for one, am still in this dimension. Now, I wanted to find out from some of my friends who have been very helpful with United We Strike, United We Win, and also just to find out what's happening. You know, we are all, tonight, all the guests are interviewers and hosts, so I want to find out what exactly is happening. And first, I'm going to introduce my friend Alan James of OYM Ireland. Alan from Ireland, welcome to the program. I see you're still in the third dimension with us this evening.
Well, just about. Just about. It's good morning over here. It's about 7 minutes past 1 a.m. in the morning, so pretty tired. So yes, still in the third dimension, haven't moved to the fourth or fifth. So we can have a chat and find out what went wrong, really.
All right. Well, I can tell you that I'm already working on a fifth bourbon with some eggnog. So I'm going to be moving into another dimension. I'm going to have fun tonight. Stephen, you are Alan's partner. You are also from Ireland. Welcome, Stephen, to the program.
Thanks very much, Karen. Just to correct you there, I'm Alan's co-host on OIM. I'm not Alan's partner because...
Oh, sorry.
Depending on where you are, partner has different meanings. But yeah, thanks for having us on board. As Alan did mention, it is the wee small hours of the morning over here in the land of the leprechaun, 1 a.m. And yeah, I don't think I moved into the next dimension either. I think I may have turned slightly demented, but didn't ascend to a different dimension.
All right. And now, speaking of demented, we also have our good friend from Switzerland here, Detlev at wakenews.net. Detlev, how are you this fine evening?
Hi, Karen. Hi, everybody. Hi, Stephen. Hi, Alan. How are you?
Hi, Detlev. How are you doing?
I'm fine. It's pretty early in the morning. It's 2 a.m. here in Switzerland.
Oh, you're even later, huh? Or earlier?
Yeah, I mean, that's... so I'm actually in the next dimension, aren't you?
Could very well be. Now, all right, Alan, I have a question for you. I have it on good authority that you just happen to be connected to someone who regularly channels Michael the Archangel. Have you heard from Michael today?
No. Basically, I'll probably be having another visit to the people who do that in the new year. And I'll be having a chat and finding out. Now, I was told during the week that I did get a phone call from somebody from that group, and they did say that certain changes will be taking place, but don't expect them to be fast because we won't be able to cope with fast. So they're going to be slow, but the changes will inevitably take place. And that's kind of the details that I got. I didn't get anything more in depth than that. With me, it's always kind of asking questions and probing, but sometimes with the people who I kind of see now and again, they don't really get into asking the questions. They just kind of accept what's said and there's no probing. So hence why I want to take another visit probably in a couple of weeks' time and just catch up. And maybe in a couple of weeks' time, things might have changed. I don't know. You know, let's give it a couple of weeks, and then I'll pop down, and then I can report back and let you know.
Well, you know, that sounds good. I understand that it's taking a little bit longer than many of us had hoped for a lot of things to manifest. You know, my husband's in the background having fun tonight. He's reveling in his righteousness, saying, "That's it. We didn't go anywhere." All these people who are saying, "Yes, you just didn't feel it. You need another DVD, you need to buy another CD, and you need to go to our seminar, and we'll tell you the changes. But the changes that you're speaking of, Alan, what changes exactly are you referring to?
Well, that's the thing. You see, what happened was, when I originally went down and the Archangel Michael apparently, I won't say, he apparently came through. And, because I'm always a skeptic. And when we went through and bits of information, the last thing he said, because I said to Archangel Michael, I said, if none of this happens, there's going to be a lot of egg on a lot of people's faces. And then he came back and said, Alan, always the skeptic, right? Which I am, because my logical mind says, I want proof. I just don't want to, hear people talking about it. I want to see proof. I want to get some information to prove to me that it's going to happen. So 2 weeks might be a good thing to take a break and, let's see what happens, and I'll be querying it because there's a few other things that were said as well.
That's good. That egg will be good and hard boiled in 2 weeks, I'll tell you, Alan.
I'm just thinking, one of the things that people said, I don't want to hog, because you have Detlev and Steve there as well, but one of the things that was said about these 3 days of darkness, where the planet will actually, because of what's going on with the alignment of the cosmic year and the cosmic suns, because we have our sun goes around the sun, which goes around the galactic plane, and the 3 days of darkness is where the planet stops. We have, so on one half the planet it'll be daylight for 3 days, on the other half the planet will be darkness for 3 days, and then after the third day the planet starts revolving around the opposite way, and the sun will rise in the west rather than set in the west. And a lot of people talked about this 3 days of darkness, and so I said to Steve, let's not kind of jog on just a bit. Let's get to Sunday, and I'm sure we'll be all talking again on Sunday on OIM. And let's see, we'll touch base on Sunday and see over these 3 days if anything happens.
That's right. As someone who's been in the dark most of my life, I can relate. I was looking forward to a little bit of ascending. But now from Ireland, let's jump over to Switzerland here, and then Stephen, we'll get to you. Detlev, what happened in your part of the world today?
Well, Karen, everybody was very anxious, frightful even. But we've started to discuss the whole issue, and we actually said, it is not really something which is coming externally, like we were reporting on a Planet X scenario or something like that, or major earthquakes resulting from that eventually, or aliens coming visiting us. No, actually the changes which have been taking place now for quite some time are the changes within ourselves. Gaining the consciousness is the vital thing, is the key thing, which is going to happen even further. And once, a certain percentage of the population of the Earth has reached a certain consciousness level, I guess things will change dramatically. What do you think?
Well, I do think that consciousness is very important, and that a lot of us, myself included, have been distracted by some of these other theories about what is really happening, what's going to be happening today. Are we shifting? Is it really this galactic alignment out there? Some say it is, some say it isn't. Are we looking down the barrel of a very special 25,000-year alignment where we gaze right at the black hole? Or is it that we have to face our own black holiness and start to clean it up from within so that we can act with honor and integrity and make the changes ourselves?
Very true. Yeah, and I think that's what's happening, and that's actually frightening. The so-called elites, or the dominant insane minority, as we call them once in a while. They are very afraid that actually this consciousness shift is going to happen even further, because that's clearly the end of their powers. The powers to be. Don't you think so?
Once we really have more people who understand that the game is not only afoot, but while we are distracting and looking in other directions every day that we go about business as usual, the other side is steadily encroaching and taking away more and more freedoms and pumping out more disinformation. In the wake of these horrendous shootings that we have here, and Obama standing up and being so moved in front of the public to start to, we have to do something. We've got to take away guns. We've got to do something. Not one mention of the pharmaceutical connection and the money lying therein. All right, folks, when we come back, we're going to talk to Stephen, who is also in Ireland, and we'll take your calls. If you want to tell us what happened, what dimension you were in, give us a ring here, 877-342-6673. We will be right back. Well, everybody wants to rule the world, and those who actually have the money to rule the world, unfortunately, are still in power as of this evening at 5:21 p.m. Pacific Standard Time in these not-so-United States. So as we explore what did and did not happen this evening, this momentous day, we're going to jump now to Stephen, who is not Alan's partner, but he's Alan's co-host there of OYM Irish Radio there. Stephen, how are you this evening?
Well, this evening I was full of life, and now at 1:21 a.m. GMT, I'm not so full of life. But as I just said to you during the break, I mean, when we were talking about as Alan mentioned earlier, the 3 days of darkness, I reckon the 3 days of darkness is we were expecting something to happen on the 21st, and it actually didn't. But maybe something did happen, and it's going to take 3 days for that to come to fruition. Now, that's what's going to get me through the next 2.5 days anyway. But when you spoke earlier about rights being taken away and having more power, as they do at this moment in time, I just wanted to mention, I don't know if you've actually heard about what the government in Ireland, I know we've spoken to you before about this new property tax that our government are trying to introduce. They're meeting resistance all the way. It started off as a household charge and turned into a property tax. But what they're actually trying to do now at the moment, they've passed another one of these acts or bills that gives the revenue here in the Republic of Ireland the power, if you refuse to pay your property tax. They were threatened that they were going to take it off out of social welfare, get your name off databases connected to your electricity supplier or your utility supplier, and they're going to target you that way. But now, what they've released today, Karen, is this new thing that the revenue will now have the power to access your bank account and take the money from your bank account. And we were just discussing this earlier, myself and Alan, and we were actually having a good laugh about this, because if that doesn't cause a run on the banks, I don't know what will. But the Irish people, although the world seems to be waking up, a lot of Irish people, and maybe in other countries as well, they're more interested in the latest storyline in the whatever the hot soap is on TV at the moment, rather than what's actually happening. But we reckon, again, this could be another one of those pivotal points whereby people are going to have to take a stand back and realise, hang on a second, lads, the government are really shitting us, because say they're going to start accessing your bank account without your permission, and taking what they want and for themselves. But maybe over the next 3 days things will happen. Maybe there will be this mass conscious shift, a wave of awareness. I don't know, but I hope it does happen, and I hope it is as powerful as I'm expecting it to be, because we can't continue. And as you said about Mr. Obama pretending to shed a tear over those poor unfortunate children that were brutally murdered,
supposedly,
yeah. He's the one who's signing all these pieces of paper, granting these drone strikes, where he's knowingly killing innocent children. But yeah, he gets up on a stage and he pretends to wipe the tear away. I don't know.
What do you mean supposedly? I mean, it seems to me these children died. I think how they died, who exactly shot them, is the questionable part here. We don't know that. We know that prescription drugs are on. I don't know if it's mind control. So what do you mean supposedly?
Well, from what I've been reading, from what people are saying, the parents didn't get a chance to actually see their kids, and the excuse was that they were too badly damaged, so they were given a photo which could have been photoshopped, and these kids weren't seen. The caskets would be closed. So who's to say that the kids were shot? And the rumor at the moment is, and again, there's so much going around at the moment, so I'm not saying this is true. But what I've been reading so far is that possibly these kids have been taken away to be sold, and the excuse is that that's why the parents are not allowed to see the children, and they've drafted in so-called sheriffs from other counties or other places, and there's each sheriff for each parent, and basically to stop or monitor the parents so they don't go running in or something to have a look at something.
Alan, I think it's important that we say we're not making light of the situation. If in fact the situation did happen as the media tells us, I mean, we're not making light of that in any way, shape or form. It's just that we also listen to what other people are saying and thinking as well, and we can listen to and take on board their thoughts without accepting them. We can put it on the back burner.
Yeah, I'm not making it light of the situation at all.
Gotcha. It's just information that's come your way.
This is information that's now coming out, and people are saying, well, hang on a minute, what about this and what about this? So there's inconsistencies in the stories of what's coming out and what's been told by the mainstream media. So people are beginning to question this, and why, the families are not allowed to see their children who've been killed, if that's the case.
So they're not seeing bodies. These children, no. The parents are not, I haven't seen that. That's very interesting. I mean, that definitely puts another dimension in it. Their children, that's horrible, though. They should be able to see their children. So I'll have to look into that. But, yeah, there's so much going on right here, right now, folks, that we don't know about. The picture just gets deeper and darker. And in my opinion, it truly is time to grow up. The apocalypse, the real meaning of the apocalypse is the unveiling. And we certainly have had so much malfeasance and corruption unveiled this year that we must decide what we are going to do about it. Continue just discussing it, or actually start to get down to the business of cleaning up our world, because nobody's coming. Nibiru isn't here. The Galactic Federation hasn't arrived yet, but maybe. Okay, we got 3 days. We'll be back again. If you'd like to comment or question, 877-342-6673.
You're listening to Charlie nationwide and worldwide on the internet on the Rense Radio Network.
It is time for Karen's Corner here, knocking at the door on December 21st as we're talking about what did and did not happen. And Stephen, it's interesting that you say you're still willing to wait for 3 days to see if possibly something will happen. I know for myself, I've been kind of disappointed that more didn't happen all along. If we are getting an upgrade, I do see that theoretically the alignments of whatever planets truly are aligned, because there are different reports on that, but that possibly the vibrations and the frequency is changing. And just like when we go from adolescence to adulthood without consciously working at it, possibly we are waking up now. Possibly we have been bombarded with something that opens us up to be able to hear the truth and understand that our lives are much more than just about this legal economic conquest with profit over people. What are you looking to happen, Stephen? What are you hoping will happen?
Well, what am I hoping will happen? I actually don't know, Karen. I mean, I would like to think that there will be a wave of conscience. Everyone will wake up. Everyone who's going around with the wool over their eyes will have the wool removed from over their eyes. They'll be able to see clearly. There'll be just kind of this eureka moment for mankind, where everyone will just go, I get it. As if there's a TV program that we have over here. Well, it's in the UK as well, where it's called Catchphrase, and this picture comes up on the screen, and little pieces are revealed at a time, and then when the missing piece goes in, you have to guess what it is before the last piece goes in. But some people can guess and are correct. Some people are incorrect. But when the last piece goes in, if you don't know what the catchphrase is, as soon as you see the last piece revealed, you go, it makes sense now. Now I get it. And that's basically what I'm hoping for. That the whole of mankind will as if maybe there's a missing piece of DNA. I don't know. Maybe it's a very important piece, and it'll just be activated. And by that, maybe we will just kind of, to be a big exclamation mark, if you like, over the world, and everything will just kind of make sense. Everything will fall into place. And the old way of doing things, like the taxation and all this, where there's suffering and violence and crime, maybe all that will just disappear, because when we have this new piece of information, maybe everything will make sense, and none of the other stuff will matter. I'm not 100% sure, but when I say about the 3 days, I mean, I'm willing to wait for the same reason. If I was expecting something in the post today, and if I'm all excited about getting something in the post, if it didn't arrive today, I'm not going to suddenly go, oh, well, that's it. It didn't arrive. I'm not going to get it. I mean, you kind of say, well, hang on a second. Maybe there was a delay in the postal service, so I give it another day. And if it doesn't arrive tomorrow, I'll say, well, hang on a second. I know it's coming. So many people are telling me that it's coming, so I'm prepared to give it another day. But I mean, after 3 days, if 3 days come and go and nothing happens, I don't know. I'll probably be a little bit miffed, to be totally honest, Karen.
Well, I know that on Sunday you are having a program more about this, right, Alan?
Yeah, well, everybody's, again, Detlev, yourself, P, is invited on the show on Sunday, obviously, and we're going to have a talk. We're going to do the 3 days. But you have to remember, there's two issues here which people have to be aware of. The first issue is this so-called wave and this reactivation of our DNA. We have 12 strands of DNA, but we only use 2. Now, for people who have seen the David Wilcock 2012 Enigma, he talks about them using this wave in a laboratory with a salamander and a frog and basically they transferred the DNA from one to the other without the two of them touching, to prove that this wave will do, what it says on the tin, so to speak. And apparently this wave is coming our way from the center of the galaxy. And if you imagine throwing a stone into a pond, it creates ripples. And obviously if you're on the very far end of that ripple, you won't feel anything. But as you get closer, as the ripple gets closer to you or you get closer to that, you start feeling something. And if this ripple is coming from the center of our galaxy, then we will eventually feel it. And maybe this activation of our DNA will happen. But the other thing that's also on the list as well, and myself and Steve are aware of this, but we have interest in communication, is the kill shot, is the coronal mass ejection, which is apparently predicted. We know that the sun has cycles every 11 years. And when you're dealing with amateur radios and stuff like that, these sunspots, these solar flares that come from the sun affect the ionosphere, and that's what radio communication guys use, amateurs use, to actually communicate. Now, they're waiting for the kill shot to happen, which is going to be a major coronal mass ejection, which will potentially blow out our grids and basically send us back to the Stone Age. So that is also a possibility to happen as well. So we just have to be aware of that. And when that's going to happen, that's predicted 2012, probably 2013. So we have to be aware of that. And if that zaps all our electronics and the grid, then it's going to take months for the grid to get back up. And, as I say, we'll be back to the Stone Age.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Detlev, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, as I said, I think the whole thing is already taking place. I was very calm today. I was really relaxed. And, I have the feeling that we are, gaining power over the dark forces, really. I mean, I had been attacked twice this year, just recently, a few days ago, by the local police here on the German part of the world here, which is next door to me, because I was live reporting on a farmer who was taking away all his cattle and so forth because they need his farmland for major project they want to build there. Sort of a little Dubai sort of thing. And I was filming this, and they attacked me. So I was, but they were so afraid. I mean, 10 heavily armed police officers, or armed people. I don't even know whether they're real police anymore. They were really afraid of us. A couple of journalists just filming what they're doing. So I think we are gaining so much power. We can, we can most probably take over also the public opinion pretty soon, because mass media is just, is losing completely.
Well, Detlev, tell us a little more about your confrontation. So you're filming a man who, I guess it's Agenda 21, part of that. They're taking his land. And when you say that you were attacked because you were filming, can you go into that a little more?
Yeah, I mean, we were actually just, filming on his property. Sure. Okay, so we were not outside his property, and they were so nervous about this, because it was not a lawful exercise which they were doing. They're actually working for the so-called elite, or the sort of scumbags they are, because they just want to make profit of his country. Side there of his land, and we're actually documenting this, and there will be a film coming out on Christmas days, so we will then show everything, and I try to make it also into an English translation, so the whole world can see what's happening down here. It's the same thing as you experience this in America. It's just saying, it's a regular thing. I mean, many journalists do experience things like that. But, it's basically showing that publicity and, waking up of people is the thing they are fearing. And this is the strength which we may be getting even further. Everybody is going to, succeed in this. So that's my opinion.
Well, we're doing what we can to wake up and be accountable, because it doesn't look like our daddy is coming. Anyway, stay tuned. If you've got questions or comments, feel free to call in 877-342-6673. We'll be right back after these messages.
Are chemtrail geoengineering programs changing our weather and destroying our environment? Why in the world are they spraying?
They want to create a storm in the southeast, then they'll start engineering out over the North Pacific. That's where the trailies will be.
Find out why critics are calling Why in the World Are They Spraying the most important film that is revolutionizing the environmental movement.
It's just going to get worse until the point where we're not going to be able to grow anything at all unless it's a Monsanto genetically modified, abiotic stress resistant seed.
Why in the world are they spraying? New international version with languages available from around the world. For 1 month, Rense listeners receive free shipping. Go to the banner on the front of the Rense website and click on the link for more info.
It's all about money, and weather is another form of commoditizing, a way the Central Command Group can commoditize another form of our life.
Why in the world are they spraying?
And if you control the weather, you're going to control the planet. It's that simple.
All right, if we're going to understand the voice within, we've got to pay attention to the signs that go on around us. And we were talking over the break about waiting to see, okay, maybe we will have in 3 days this aha moment, this upgrade. Maybe it's longer. Again, maybe it's the vibrations that will take place over time, just like moving from adolescence to adulthood, or maybe it's all a ruse. Maybe all of this is, again, to keep us distracted from saying, you know what, they're killing our children now. Unless they're not killing our children, and that's a conspiracy, but actually they are killing our children through fluoride, through vaccinations, through the prescriptions. And when you listen to someone like Obama stand up and pretend to be very upset about our loss, well, how do you think the people in other countries feel when the drone strikes take out their children? There's no word of that, and it's going to happen here, folks. It really is time to grow up. Now, I'll wait and I'll see what happens Sunday, but I'm a little bit relieved. I am also a little bit disappointed, but I'm relieved to know because it is up to us. Nobody else is going to come save us. You know, I don't see the Galactic Federation, although maybe they'll show up by Sunday. I don't see St. Michael. I don't hear St. Germain. That big money that's supposed to be coming to every man, woman, and child with the trust that St. Germain set up, the Nasara Trust. I haven't seen $1 from that yet either. So at this point, I'm simply believing that it's time for us to understand that our world is a mess because we've allowed it to get that way, and we need to rise to become the heroes of our own lives. Right, Alan, do you have any comments here?
Well, just to say to people to make sure you have an open mind. I mean, we've heard an awful lot of what people have predicted. Say the 3 days of darkness. We have the Mayan elder who talks about on the 21st you're going to have 8 minutes of conscious awareness, which they're going to try and trap and keep on the planet for 3 months. I didn't have any 8 minutes of conscious awareness today. I can kind of vouch for that. And then you have people like Drumbelow Melchizedek who will talk about using your Merkaba, and then you have Han Andov, who's Ukrainian, I believe, and he talks about some protection because when the reset button gets hit, we'll just forget everything. Now, all this is still kind of possible. Everything's still on the table as to what speed, if it does happen, when it happens, and the speed of it happening. Now, the other thing I heard was that we cannot be given this energy immediately because our physical bodies cannot take it. So it has to be done gradually. And hence, if you know a lot of people who've been getting ill the last few months and all of a sudden they get better. So did you go to the doctor and you complain over something, in a few weeks it's gone? Or if you're getting fatigued, if you get headaches, if you get tired, if you get negative, getting depressed, all these are kind of the symptoms apparently that we're going through this change. You know, the negativeness and the kind of sadness is that we're leaving our old 3D self or our 3D world and moving into the 4D. And pains that the aches and pains we're getting are just the changes that our body is being affected by this energy change. Now, all this is open for discussion and open for debate. I'm not saying it's true, but there's no harm talking about it. But this is what a lot of people are talking about. And different people from different scientific backgrounds or research or communication with different entities. This is what's really on the table at the moment.
Detlev, do you have any comments here as we're winding up the first hour?
Yeah, I think, what we have to get rid of is fear, because they feed off us, fear. And if we lose fear, if we give up fear, then we are already winning. And then we have already, conquered them, whatever they are, and maybe that's also the right way to tackle on that. What do you think?
I think it's very important to let go of fear. I think that when we understand so many references were taken out of the Bible that referenced reincarnation, I think that you cannot destroy energy. It makes sense to me that we evolve, we change, we grow, and that some part of the essence that is intrinsic and unique to ourselves individually remains after our physical body ends. Or else I couldn't deal with any of it if I didn't believe I was spirit having a human experience, and that the fear is unnecessary. No matter how bad it gets down here, once we're through it, which does not mean that we cannot make it much, much better while we are here. And that's what's important. Stephen, any thoughts from you here as we're winding down?
Yeah, I have to agree with what all of you have said, especially when Detlev said in relation to fear. It's my understanding that fear is the one thing, it's the only thing that if you want to call them the elite, the Illuminati, whatever name you want to put on them, that's the one thing, the one tool. It's like a multi-tool. It's like they don't even need a load of tools in a toolbox. All they need is the one tool called fear. And once they can instill that into each and every one of us, then they can control and manipulate us. And therefore, once we're living in that realm of fear, we can't expand, we can't grow, we can't ascend. And I think once we lose that fear, because there's certain things over here, like just having a little bit of fun. What I'm having fun at the moment is TV license. I'm having some fun with them, and I get the letters in now, Karen, you know, in red ink and all, telling me final notice and you must contract with us. And I now see that as a game, where before I would have been scared with this. These letters come in, you know, telling me, oh, you owe us this, that and the other. But now I see it as a game, so the fear in that element of my life has gone. I'm now enjoying it, and when the letters come in, I just send them back, no contract. And I no longer fear that. And I think, if as Alan often says, we need to pick our battles. And if we pick one small battle at a time, instead of trying to battle everything at once, one small step at a time, and lose the fear, pick something, get over that fear, and move on. And I think once we are fearless, then we can ascend and we can actually grow to our full potential. Well, that's what I think anyway.
Well, I agree, and I want to thank you all very much. Now, I know, and our listeners know, that things pretty much so are looking the same over there in Europe, but we can catch up again on Sunday. They may have changed by Sunday. Alan, why don't you tell us about your program, which will also be simulcast on UnitedWeStrike.com. at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, and 7 p.m. GMT?
That's right. Myself and Steve are doing a weekly show every Sunday. OAMIreland.com is the website, and obviously Karen, Detlev, and JP will be hopefully on Sunday. And we're going to, basically tonight is a kind of to say this is the 21st of December, did anything happen? And then on Sunday we'll be re-evaluating the 3 days and saying over the 3 day period, did anything happen? So that's basically what's going to happen. So 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. GMT on Sunday, that's where we're going to be.
All right, I'm looking forward to it, you know, and again, just because it wasn't instantaneous doesn't mean that there isn't something that's happening at a deeper level within our DNA, within the frequency. You know, this
Correct.
world is huge, and there's so much that we don't know. Final thoughts, Detlev, before we go.
Yeah, never say never, you know. So I'm still expecting the positive vibes, you know. I'm already feeling, from my point of view. And you know, united we strike, and united we win. And don't you have a new website going now, Karen?
Well,
actually, on United We Strike.
Thanks to Alan. We are working on the update. I'm not sure that it's come through all the way, folks. Stay tuned for the next couple days here. Check out UnitedWeStrike.com. And that's thanks to Alan and his great technical work there. We are updating the site. That's what's happening for us 2012. That and updating our hearts and minds, because regardless of what happens externally, it's what happens internally that matters. And we are the change that we need to see. So I'm looking forward to the Sunday edition. I want to thank you very much, Alan, Steve, and Detlev, for being part of the program tonight, and to wish you the best in Ireland and in Switzerland and in Germany too, so that in this next year of 2013 we can move forward in unity, peace, and see if we can really start to change our world, because unless they show up by Sunday, I'm thinking that we've got a big job to do. So
I would just carry on doing what you're doing. Just keep on fighting, and if we get a visit from somebody, then brilliant. But if not, just carry on doing what you're doing.
There you go. That's all we can do, and understand that until we take our power back individually, that's it. Steve, I think I got a couple minutes left here. Any final thoughts?
Karen, thanks a million for having us on. As always, we always enjoy, both Alan and I get great buzz of being on the same airspace and the same airwaves as both you and Detlev, because your energy and Detlev's energy, it's all positive. And it really, I think it's a great, it complements what we're doing. You compliment us, we compliment you. I think we're all complimenting each other, and we should pat each other on the back. And as Detlev said, united we win. We will win. It may take it a little bit longer, but we will win in the end, because good always triumphs over evil.
Well, I believe that. You know, we do need unity, and when we stand together in solidarity, we can win. We're not here, folks, because we've been disobedient. We are here because we have been obedient. And now it's time to understand as well, are we obeying moral or immoral orders? I really want to thank you also, because all the guests here tonight, Stephen and Alan and Detlev, are very much a big part of the United We Strike Marathon, second Saturday of every month. We also have just a dynamite chat room on the new website that Alan has set up that actually is the best. No offense here to the Wide Awake. The Wide Awake chat room is awesome. I very much appreciate all the people in there. But this other one that Alan has set up doesn't kick me out and turn me into anonymous, and it lets me draw pictures if I feel like doing that. So, folks, I hope that you enjoyed this evening. And stay tuned next hour as we go to New Zealand with Vinnie Eastwood and to Florida with Bob Tuscan to see again what happened in New Zealand and what happened in Florida. Thank you very much. Please stay tuned. We will be right back, and we'll take your calls as well.
You're listening to the Rense Radio Network, nationwide and worldwide on the net and at Rense.com.